Welcome to this episode of the Good Death Podcast, Ask a Death Doula. I am so honored that you are here. We have some exciting things coming your way. We're doing the Good Death virtual book tour, and I am in conversation with some of the most amazing people in the space of end of life and changing the world. So you want to make sure that you are tapped into who's coming on the podcast because they are amazing. I want to share with you something else that we're doing that is hopefully going to change lives. And that's what we're here for, right? So we know we have the Good Death book, and thank you all. The book has been received with open hearts and has created transformations for people with empowerment, with healing grief, and with inspiration about life. People talk about having a spiritual awakening with this book, and it's not surprising because you learn the wisdom about end of life and life from those who are leaving this world. And to me, there's no better teacher than people who are leaving this planet, leaving this world, what they want you to know. And in that book, and I often share that there's a point in the journey as they're releasing their physical bodies, their spiritual bodies growing, and they get their spiritual eyes or spiritual wisdom, and they have these aha moments of clarity. And here's the thing that really is amazing, that many, if not all of them, are saying the same things. No matter what culture, religion, place in the world, socioeconomic status, they are saying the same things about the meaning of life and what they want you to know. It is the teacher. So step into this space with me. So what we've done is we know that death is the number one fear in the world. So we've taken that book and taken it hopefully 1,000 times further, putting it into a course. It is called the Good Death Book Club Experience because it's not just a book club. I'm taking one of the chapters each month, teaching it live, doing a segment of teaching, doing an exercise with you and answering your questions. It is an amazing experience. It is a death and dying course. So it is a full 12 months. Each of the months stand alone. So you can come to one, you can come to all of them. It is completely free. All you have to do is get the book and join the book club for free. The link is below. You will absolutely love it. Share this with others because this is how we change the world. All right, everyone, in this episode, it's a good one. We have for you today a woman who is dear to my heart. As we will share in the podcast, we will talk about our story, but it's Dr. Qwynn Galloway-Salazar, and she is the founder of In Their Honor. In Their Honor was founded in 2021 by Dr. Qwynn Galloway-Salazar, a veteran death doula, compassionate educator, and dedicated story collector. ITH emerged as a beacon of hope, fueled by a profound commitment to ignite change in how our nation supports veterans and their loved ones through the end of life. There could be nothing that's more important than showing up for our veterans in all stages. ITH stands as a catalyst behind a movement honoring the sacrifices and contributions our veterans and their loved ones, while symbolizing our nation's commitment to compassionate care. You're going to love this conversation. I love this woman. It is one of many that we have done, that we will continue to do. I'm not going to say any more. Let's dive into the episode. You will know exactly what I'm talking about. So welcome to this episode of the Good Death Podcast. All right. We'd like to welcome Qwynn Galloway-Salazar. Welcome to the Good Death Podcast. How are you today?
Oh, my goodness. I feel like it's a family reunion.
It is.
I feel all kinds of emotions that are bubbling so much positivity. So thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. It is a family reunion. And we got on and we started going there. I said, okay, wait. Let's wait for the podcast because I think people want to hear the story. And it's such a beautiful thing because if you follow your heart and the doors that present themselves and opportunities to help and to create and to lift up, that's what is happening for all of us. And then when we go through them, the magic can happen. So let's share with people how we found each other, when that was, if you know about, and how that came about, because it really has been in like this rapid supernova kind of stratosphere in this space.
It has.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to say it was 2021
I
in
think so.
the midst of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And I had the wonderful opportunity of being a guest on Dr. Karen Wyatt's podcast, End of Life University.
Mm-hmm.
And I shared just my
Mm-hmm.
heart in why I wanted to become a doula, because I wasn't a death doula yet. I was getting ready to start my training like the following month. But I was sharing this story with Karen about how I was an Army veteran and really had the chance over the last 2 decades to look at how military service impacted those that were coming to the end of life. And I had all these questions. And so shortly after the podcast aired, I get a message from the Suzanne O'Brien. And I will never forget sitting there like, I'm being spammed. This is not real. This isn't happening. But it did, right? And I may take this whole conversation another way. And if it goes another way, let's just vibe with it because there's a point to it. But I remember you sharing that podcast episode and then saying to me, let's go live. And I'm like, what do you mean? You're like, you want to go live with me? And I'm like, I don't even know what I'm fully talking about yet. And you would say to me, Qwynn, just follow your heart. And that was less than 5 years ago. And you would show up and we would have these conversations early on when I first became a doula. And you would spend this one-on-one time with me and mentor me and feed my spirit and challenge me to be the best version that the universe created me to be. And here I am in less than 5 years, pouring into other doulas the way you poured into me. And I will never forget, Suzanne, you said to me in one conversation, you are going to be doulaing doulas. And I didn't understand. I didn't comprehend the magnitude of that. But I have doulas from all over the world who reach out to say, how can we care for our veterans? Never imagined creating a passion project that was supposed to impact just my community.
Yeah.
Out to the world. So thank
Okay.
you.
Wow. Well, that my heart is so overflowing. So let's start with that. When
Yes.
I heard, first of all, Karen Wyatt, one of my favorite people in the world, and love her podcast. So when I heard you on there, but when I heard you talk about veterans, I was like, okay, we need to zone into this, because veterans, and I have told you this many times, have been my most challenging end of life experiences as a death doula, doula giver, hospice nurse, all of it. And veterans give their lives. Not always does their life end when they're serving, but they give their lives because I don't think it's ever the same, the sacrifices that they and their families have given. I get so emotional when I think about it, because it's just the, you know, height of sacrifice. And then at the end of life, we're not providing care in general the way that we want end of life to go. And again, we're not trying to get negative here. We're trying to fill in gaps that exist, but it's specifically for veterans and their needs, which are specific. We don't have that care as well. So when I heard you and I saw what you wanted to do, I was like, okay, let's contact her. How can I, as the founder of Doula Givers Institute, support you in accelerating your work out into the world to shine, to have that ripple effect? And it's just been an honor to work with you. You're such a wonderful person, but there has been, as you see, an outpouring from the world of this need for this information of veterans. So
Yeah.
Bravo, exciting. And yes, I will lovingly hold you and but push you into what you're supposed to be doing. You made an agreement with God, source, the energy, however you want to, however your belief system is, which is beautiful. I believe we agree to things before we come in here, and it's our work to align with that. And that's really where the ego human part and the soul spirit part of your higher self, overcoming the ego to block you, say, I can't do it, I'm not ready, I'm not good enough, who am I? Oh, no, 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 we're all perfect, we're all here to do that, and you have shown that. Sometimes you have some mentors that will give you a little bit of that back, to be able to do that and to lift you off, and I'm just honored to be able to be a part of it in whatever way that I was.
Thank you. Oh,
Yeah. Ooh, the feels. Okay, let's talk about veterans for a minute. Tell me how you, if you would, tell me how you got into um, that line of work. How did you find yourself in the field? What brought you to it early on? And what was that like?
yeah. So my own service, right? So I served in the United States Army from 2001 to about 2006. I'm also the spouse to a retired combat veteran who has done several tours in combat. But I remember coming home after leaving active duty and not being able to find my place, right? I felt like a fish out of water in a society that would say thank you for your service. And I'm like, what the heck are you thanking? Like, what for what? Right? Like, okay. But I didn't connect and I isolated and I felt invisible. And so I went back to the work that I knew how to do. And that was working alongside of the military. And so when I came off of active duty, I first started doing work in supporting military families. And then I transitioned to behavioral health, right? Looking at invisible wounds of war, looking at substance abuse, how combat really impacted not just the veteran's life, but those that were around that veteran. And I've been doing this work, Suzanne, oh my gosh, over 20 years
Mhm.
at this point, right? And I realized that I had to first put that uniform on to have an understanding of what that lived experience was like. And even though there were many painful moments in my service and in my journey, it opened up a space in my heart to say, okay, if I intervene or if I am some form of a vessel for another veteran who is going through crisis or who's going through some type of a hardship in their transition from the military into back to the civilian world, I wanted to be of support. Um, and
Mhm.
so that became my life's work. And in moments where I wanted to walk away because compassion fatigue is real, right? It is so real. There were moments where I wanted to just take a break. I would take small breaks, care for my soul, but come right back to the work because I knew that there were generations before mine that still needed people to support their healing journey.
Okay, I want to. It's beautiful. I want to dive into some of this because I'm confused. I'm
Mm,
confused at how, and I have watched and seen the enthusiasm, the call to action to get people to serve their country,
yeah.
right? The messaging, the call to action, the responsibility, the purpose. And then what is on the back end of that? I feel
Yeah.
like the same support, it's got to look different. But can you tell me what the, if there is, what is the transition back into civilian life? What is the support that's out there? You yourself felt disconnected. And if you feel disconnected, I'm sure that everyone feels disconnected. So, what is the process now that's available and support?
Yeah, the process is a little bit more seamless compared to when I separated in 2006. And there are a multitude, right? So when you're thinking about the war that occurred in Iraq and Afghanistan, there became this wide notion of this sea of goodwill. And granted, amazing. There were resources and supports all over the place. But the reality of that for some was the abundance of resources and supports were so overwhelming, some veterans didn't even know where to start.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand that. Yeah, for
Right.
sure. Hmm.
So, so for those that may have been impacted by post-traumatic stress or traumatic brain injuries, there was such an isolation or disconnection from their society where they just for many of them, they just kind of went inward, right? Did not seek out the supports that they needed or deserved. And for many, chose other alternatives to begin feeling better, right? For a better lack of words, or so they thought. And so it looks completely, when we talk about what resources are available now, it looks different. There's an abundance of resources, which is great. But I still think that there's so much more that communities can do,
Okay.
not expect systems to do.
Okay. And I really like this because I think you hit the nail on the head. And I find this pretty much with everything. You can have all the resources in the world, but if you don't have a pathway and a through line that, again, is take one step forward and how you start that momentum, it's overwhelming and people will usually not start at all. So
Absolutely.
I love that you highlighted that because there are resources, but also I'm thinking, okay, what's the through line like of re-entry? Re-entry, what's that first step you can offer? And is there something like that right now? And if not, what would you suggest the first step should be?
Yeah, I mean, for military service members, they have what's called transitional assistance programming. They have yellow ribbons that start that journey for them, separating from the military into their civilian spaces. But I think when we look at community, right, whether it's your faith-based organization,
Mhm.
setting up spaces for you to reconnect, being intentional with how culturally aware you are to the
Yeah.
population is huge. Knowing that more than just the white Caucasian, rather the Vietnam era Caucasian male veteran has served, you have so many culturally diverse
Hmm.
individuals that serve, and opening up your community,
Hmm.
say, we welcome you. We want to hear your story. We want to be a part of your journey to healing is huge. But if veterans don't feel that support,
Well, here's what I'm hearing, and this is really what I think across the globe. If we show up in compassion and presence with one another,
yep,
that's the medicine. Like
that,
that is the medicine. And here's the thing, we can all do that. You don't need a certain person in office to do it. You don't need a law to be passed to do it. I see you. I have compassion. We are here together. No matter what you look like or what it doesn't matter. So I love that you highlighted that. And I feel like that's really the first thing.
yeah,
And we can all do that. So every day we have an opportunity to show up in that space of compassion.
every day, every
Yeah.
day,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
You may be at your local Starbucks and you see a veteran that has a veteran hat on, or a Vietnam veteran hat on. Can I implore you, before you say thank you for your service, acknowledge their service. When did you serve? Right? Um, you
Give
know,
us, give us, give us some tools here. Give us three
yeah,
things, if you would, that we
yeah,
can say
yeah,
to
yeah.
people when we see them with their hat, when we see them with their walker, because that's what I'm seeing.
Hmm.
What can we do?
What branch of service did you serve in? Right?
Mhm.
Where did you serve? What was your military occupational specialty? Or what
Mm,
was your job?
mm,
What were you the first at? And once you hear those things,
Mhm.
then you may feel at ease with saying, thank you for your service. Because if we think back historically, Vietnam veterans were not thanked for their service, nor were they welcomed home by our society. So for some of them, when you immediately say thank you for your service, you may get the response, what are you thanking me for?
Ugh, you're going to start me crying.
And that's powerful.
So
You know,
triggering for them. And like, how did we do that? So, all right, let's just take a breath here. That's really beautiful to really acknowledge where did you serve? Because almost, and I get it, what you're saying when someone just blank goes, thank you for your service. It's almost just like you're just going through a reflex. You're not even really meaning it. You're not seeing that person or really getting there. So, and I love the fact the Vietnam veterans, when you said, they could say, what are you thanking me for? There's just so many different levels of energy attached to so much of this. So that's beautiful. Let's talk trauma.
mm,
Because for me, at the end of life, working with veterans, it has been the most challenging because I don't even know if they're in touch with the layers of trauma or to the degree that, and I'm not saying you have to be or you don't have to be. I'm just saying what we experience as that person is transitioning out of this world. And we know at the end of life, there's something that happens that usually is trying to help the unprocessed emotions to kind of bubble their way up to kind of make sense of them, or people who have feelings of guilt or shame or something of that nature, not knowing what's going to happen after they have their end of life and just struggling. So talk to me about
mm,
trauma and what can we do to help in this space?
you know, trauma runs deep, and not coming to this question from a clinical standpoint, but coming to maybe, little tricks from the toolbox, right? The power of validating someone's experience, the power of actively listening, holding space, whatever
Mm,
your preconceived notions or biases or stereotypes or stigmas associated to veterans, being able to put them to the side, right? I tell doulas all the time, and other end of life professionals, put your clipboard down for a moment and meet that veteran, their caregiver, their loved one, right where they are, because there may be regrets, unfinished business, guilt, shame, the need for forgiveness. That we can do such good as end of life professionals,
mhm.
helping that veteran navigate that space. And sometimes navigating that space and putting your clipboard down means just being quiet,
Mhm.
holding that
Mhm.
room, because that just might be the very first time that veteran felt comfortable enough to
Yeah.
share elements of their experience that they've never shared with anyone.
Yeah. All right. Two things are coming up here. Number one, put the clipboard down.
Put the clipboard down.
Everybody, put it down, put it down, put it down, put it down. You know why? Because, you know, if I go on to the doctor and knock on wood, thank God I haven't have to. Doctors are and it's not their fault. They're walking in with computers and they're not even looking at you and they're asking you questions. And you know what? When I was working at the end as a hospice nurse, they said that you have to document on your visit. And I was only making visits with end of life patients for 1 hour once a week if they were stable. And I said, I'm not doing it. I'm not flipping up a computer and asking Mrs. Miller what her pain level is and having my face in that computer. I will not do it. And they said, okay, you have 24 hours to get your documentation in. So I was at my kitchen table till like 1 or 2 a.m. all
Wow,
the time doing the doc.
Suzanne.
I just wouldn't do it. And this is what we're missing. We're missing presence. And power of your presence is the best medicine you have. Put the clipboards down. By the way, if you are truly present with somebody and walk into a room and say, how are you today? You will get everything that you need from their sound or their voice, maybe the lack of them talking. What are you getting energetically? How many times have people said, I'm fine, and you know they're anything but fine? If you are truly tapped in, if you are truly present, you will know they're not fine. But if we keep just walking through this, oh, checking boxes, life care, end of life care is not checking boxes. Put the clipboards down and get present.
Please,
That was beautiful.
please.
Qwynn, that was just beautiful. Um, the second thing is I really have to talk about forgiveness, because when we have asked someone to do acts to protect the country, they followed through with that because we asked them to. They didn't do anything wrong. They followed orders, actually. So there's so much heaviness there, but they were following the ask of what was expected of them, and they did a beautiful job at that. So forgiving themselves if they need to, forgiving whatever they need to do, it's probably multiple. We have to bring forgiveness in. It is the transformational tool with everyone, but it's, I think especially with veterans. And it was very, very hard to try and even penetrate to a level where that was even something that they would entertain. That's for my experience, because I think we have to begin way back here supporting them. And I'd like to see how we can have those setups, which you're doing, to really help them navigate that space before they are hopefully at end of life and having to try and get through that, which is a lot to ask for. Yeah.
And maybe that looks like, how do you bring in a battle buddy?
That's
Or,
it. I think, yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Someone that you know, may not have been in the same conflict as them, but that camaraderie of being in the military is there.
Yeah.
They're able to bear witness
Yeah.
to not only the journey to the end of life, but bear witness to the forgiveness. You have some veterans, and not just veterans, some people, period, that until that they know that they're forgiven for whatever act, their journey at the end of life can
Mhm.
be really, really difficult. And sometimes they're just waiting for that word of, I forgive you, or in spite of, you were loved.
Mhm. And you are forgiven. And I really think they have to come to that place. This is for all of us, by the way. Now we're talking about veterans, but we can even go bigger here. You have to get to a place that you forgive yourself.
You forgive yourself.
So helping them find the perspective to be able to do that, and I think is really beautiful and really helpful. I have seen, so one of my veterans that I worked with, there was a couple things happening. So one of the things is that he was, really having a very hard time with the things that he had been part of in the war. And then the second part is that he took care of his wife who had some mental health issues, and he knew that when he had four children, of course, two wanted to do this with her, two wanted to do the other thing with her, and he knew that when he was out of the picture it wouldn't be good for her. But I do believe the thing that really held him on and not let go, and it was 11 days. He did have an IV, so he had some IV fluids going in the home that can keep you going a little longer. But he was in a coma, and it wasn't a lot of IV fluids. It was just periodically. But 11 days, there was nothing. When I say there was nothing to him at the last day, and I have seen some very thin people, his back, and I'm just going to share this because I want people to know the visual of a magnitude of the weight that people carry. His back that afternoon started to split open the skin because there was nothing there. And I just prayed that he would have his end of life that as soon as possible that night. And he did die that night, but 11 days, and he was hanging on and hanging on because he did not feel comfortable with what the next part of his journey was going to be because of all this unresolved trauma and
Yeah.
all this trauma.
All this trauma,
All right.
I've got to,
Mm-hmm.
I've got to pin this real quick because this ties back to doula givers. It may have been about 2 years ago. I had one of your doulas reach out to me on Facebook, and basically she said, "My uncle, he's in hospice. He's not doing well. And I think that there's just some stuff, Qwynn, and he's having a really hard time letting go." I'm in the middle of Hobby Lobby, mind you, because I'm creating a memory box for another veteran. And I pause and I create this message for her because we know one of the last things to go is hearing. And I created this message for her to share with him, veteran to veteran, that it's okay. And she circled back like within 2 days to say, "Thank you. My uncle passed away, but I'm so glad you shared that with him." That is,
Okay, hold on. So beautiful. Think we got something. Oh my gosh, I love when just we do things. That's gorgeous. I'm wondering if there is a way that you can get veterans to record message to other veterans, right? Hold on, I'm having chills, and this is how things happen. Veterans for other veterans, specific to, again, when they served, letting them know it's okay, that families could access to play for them if we can't get those buddy systems, and you can have them where people can log on and woo, Qwynn, let's do it.
that is powerful.
Mm-hmm. Just to be able to, like you did, play it for them when they are, and they could press play. People can leave the room, have it be private, but I think it can be so beautiful. And you can have different people, you can have different cultures and different backgrounds and all the things that people can choose and line up and however they want, and they can access it immediately. I think I'd love to help you build that.
I am like, I didn't even think about that, right? Like, that's never even crossed my mind. And I will take you up on that because
I'm glad that you will.
I remember
Yeah.
that day, right? And it's one of
Mhm.
just a simple act, right? Like, it didn't take much for me to pause, pull out my iPhone, and press record.
That's what I mean. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, yes.
Okay. Um, I feel like that's going to be so healing for so many people, and like families who are in that space are lost. I don't know what to do. They can go and they can get that recording and just play it. And so there's, there could be a beautiful library. But if we see this, and you know how energy expands itself, right? If you see all of this healing and forgiveness and it can really take on a life of its own. Um, and that's a beautiful thing. So, okay, we're going to do that. And then with that being said, let's talk about the level 1 veterans training we did together, because that is available for people that they can go to our website and to access that. But that was just such a beautiful experience. We had so many people live, and of course, so many people have taken it from then. And we just want, to share that there's lots of things here for people to access. And I know that you have even more coming.
Yes, that session was just like veteran end of life care 101, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so please, by all means, tune into that here. It's such a rich conversation where we both
Yeah.
went back and forth, right? On our experiences, on our expertise, and really
Yeah.
sharing how we can show up. Phenomenal.
I
Phenomenal.
love it. I love it. So I think that when we talk about what we all can do that are not veterans, that aren't in this space to show that respect and support, is exactly what you said. First of all, showing up in compassion and love every day. That is a choice that each and every one of us has to make every day that we wake up. How am I showing up into this world? And I don't even mean necessarily when you're going out or doing anything grand. I mean, what energy are you showing up to this world with? Are you going to be angry? Are you resentful? And believe me, I know there are a ton of challenges out there. We got that. But do we solve them, and do we come up with solutions, and do we actually change that by being part of the anger? Or can we say it's wrong, and what can we do to make this go in the right direction? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so all of us have that, but especially when you see, and I love the tools that you gave us today, because when you see, and I do, like when I'm traveling and I'm at a rest stop and I see my beautiful, and you want to hug them and you want to do whatever, but you also see, you can see the pain. A lot of the times you can see what they've been through. And that's such a great way. There's nothing that is more important than truly seeing somebody, not just, again, a blank. And again, it's nice that you say thank you for your service, but not as a knee jerk reaction. See them. They gave you this.
Yeah.
They gave you the ability to be living the life that you're living right now. And the cost for them was everything. So those are amazing tools. And what are you going to do now? I know you are doing so much. So fill our audience in on some of the things you're doing. You did mention the George W. Bush Institute. What are you doing for them?
Yeah, so it was just recently announced about 2 weeks ago that I will be in the class of 2025 George Bush Institute Stand to Veteran Leadership, right? And so in that space, I get to continue what you told me years ago, Qwynn, this isn't a moment, it's a movement, right?
Mhm.
You will find me center stage in communities
Mhm.
and really having
Mhm.
communities follow this public health model of compassionate communities and showing up. We all have a role to play in end of life care. I don't care what letters are in front or behind your name, there is something that you can do. And so my next 5 months will really be spending time scaling efforts back into communities to show up for veterans at the end of life.
And
Uh,
how do you think you're going to do that? How are we going to reach communities? Okay, I'm not trying to I'm just
yeah.
trying to expand, because I love that. And I love, see, what I always am talking about is community taking care of community once again. That's
Mhm.
how you change the world. You don't wait for this policy or that. That's great if it happens. We see what's happening. You choose to show up today in communities. We're gonna look out for each other. We're gonna pick up the slack where that's needed, meeting and present. So do you have an idea? And if not, we can bubble around on some.
Yeah. So, what started back in 2023, I had partnered with an organization that I still am with now called Psych Armor. And we created this collection of courses called Caring for Veterans Through the End of Life. And there were 3 courses in that, one for healthcare providers, one for caregivers and loved ones, and one that was specifically for compassionate communities. And so when we're looking at hospice organizations that fall under the umbrella of We Honor Veterans, to
Mm,
be a level 5 hospice, right, you have
mhm.
to take Psych Armor's 15 things veterans want you to know, right? So absolutely phenomenal. It's great that we get to do that. But with these organizations now, we've introduced them to this new collection of courses. So there are a multitude of hospice and veteran partnerships around the country that are now jumping in saying, hey, we want to do more work in the community. Qwynn, will you come alongside? Some people say thought leader. I like to call myself a thought partner, right? It
Mhm.
feels more aligned because we get to
Mhm.
co-create and reimagine and tailor what's needed in your community. So at
Mhm.
one point, Suzanne, I thought I was going to have to be the one doing all of the cold calls. At this point, people are saying we need to have someone sit at the table with
Yeah.
us to reimagine how we can serve the multitude, the diversity of
Mhm.
veterans we're seeing coming into care,
Yeah.
coming into aging and longevity, aging in place. And so I'm just like, okay, I will continue to serve in that capacity to raise
Beautiful.
awareness and be that thought partner
Yeah.
alongside of communities and organizations.
I love it. All right. That's great. And I'm sure things will flush out more than that, as they do. And you just, you never know where the magic is going to line up. But if you show up and this, because you're proof of this, all you have to do is show up. And
All you have
if
to
you show up for the universe shows up for you. That's how it works, everybody. And you're all here with a gift, if not a few. Show up and share that because also then you find a connection like you've never felt before
you
because it's
do.
purpose.
It's purpose. Last year, I had the opportunity to hit the End Well stage, right? I
Yeah.
remember the day when just attending End Well was my bucket list, right? And I remember the first time being at End Well, and I sat in my seat and I said, I don't know when, I don't know how, but I'm going to be on that stage one day. And so to be on End Well stage for 2024 was amazing. But I remember the morning of, and I had been toying with this idea in my head for quite some time that I wanted to do something with theater and veterans centered
Mhm.
around Memorial Day.
Mhm.
And I will never forget the evening right before the reception at Endwell. My glasses are off because I had all these folks that hugged me and I couldn't see anything, so my glasses were off. This woman with this just this big personality and this bright light approaches me and she says, I'm Elizabeth Copeland. I'm the founder of Grief Dialogues. And what you did on that stage, I want to find a way that we can do that again.
I love
So,
it.
just last May, co-produced alongside the Elizabeth Copeland and Grief Dialogues and Leilani Squire, we created and co-produced Grief Dialogues Memorial Day.
Beautiful.
And it was in LA, absolutely beautiful. We were able to really bring the community together in community theater.
Yeah.
That was never my thought that I would touch community theater. But as you just said, just do the next thing. When you
Just
know
show
that,
up.
right? Just keep showing up. You don't have to have all the tools, all the education. It will find a way to happen because it's supposed to.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. In fact, you can't even imagine what the universe has in store for you. God has planned. Just show up and it will unfold. Elizabeth Copeland is amazing. Love her. Got to get
Hey,
her on the podcast. She is just magic too.
absolutely.
So, Qwynn, you are inspiring. Your work is just beginning, my dear. We will get together. I will help you with this recordings, however it's going to manifest itself. But you're filling such a need and you are the perfect voice for it because you've just got it's your calling. So thank you for showing up. And how can people get in touch with you, follow up with you?
Oh, you can reach me on my website, which is intheirhonor.info. You can reach me on social media. I'm sure Qwynn Galloway-Salazar is only one of me. So, and that's probably all the world needs. But you can find me on Facebook, you can find me on Insta, you can find me on LinkedIn. I promise you, your responses will be from me, whatever ways that I can be of support as you choose to navigate and journey with veterans. I am always a message away. Let's do this together. Let's bring more kindness, more love, more
Mhm.
compassion, and empathy to the world because that's what humanity needs right now.
This is our moment. This is our moment. Let's not miss it. Well, and you are not. Qwynn, thank you so much for being on the podcast, for all that you're doing. Cannot wait to see the next version, iteration of everything you do. We'll put all your contact down below in the show notes. And I want to thank you all for being part of, again, the Good Death podcast. We're doing the virtual book tour. This is like our amazing guests that are coming in, changing end of life for the better for every single person in the world. And you're a part of that. So thank you so much, everyone. And we'll see you in the next episode. Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
There you have it, everyone. Another episode of the Good Death podcast and the Good Death virtual book tour, being in conversations with so many wonderful people, so many wonderful topics. This is how we change the world, getting back to community, taking care of community. A positive end of life is possible for every single person with the right education, kindness, and support. And the Good Death book and the Good Death Book Club experience, 12-month death and dying course that is free, is how we do that. So please join our book club experience. Share this with your platforms, with other people. Have your own book club. This is how we get together with education that is a human right. A good end of life is a human right. It should not be a privilege. And we are giving that free education and supportive community to be able to do that. I love you so very much. And thank you for being part of the Good Death podcast. We'll see you in the book club.